Youngboy is a suspect in a large-scale prescription fraud ring.
Rapper NBA Youngboy has been arrested in northern Utah. The rapper, whose real name is Kentrell Deshaun Galden, was under house arrest as he awaited trial on federal gun charges.
Rapper NBA Youngboy booked into the Cache County Jail, facing 63 charges tonight.
NBA Youngboy, known as Kentrell Galden, who's been under house arrest here in Utah and Weber County, pending federal trial. He was actually arrested here in Utah by the Cache County Sheriff's Office yesterday, suspected of running a large-scale prescription fraud ring. He's been charged with 63 counts, among them a slew of felony charges. The prescription of choice here, promethazine with codeine. It's a cough syrup described as a heavily abused Schedule 5 controlled substance. Police have been investigating this dating back to September of 2023. Someone would call in a prescription, call it in under a fake name or a physician who didn't authorize it. They would try to go pick it up then. At one point, one of the people working for Youngboy actually drove to pick up a prescription in his Chevy Tahoe that you can see in some of the music videos. He denied involvement in the ring when he was arrested, and law enforcement searched his home. They found prescriptions matching some of those fake names. He's in jail without bail.
Bitch ass nigga till you broke. You ain't got no money, you ain't got no hustle, you ain't got no try to go get no money. Probably why your fucking brother put the nuts across your head trying to put some sense in you. Stop dick riding and go get some money. I ain't never seen a nigga celebrate a nigga going to jail. Man, you fucked up. Man, then look, I ain't dissing you. I ain't, you know what I'm saying? Look, you ain't gotta call the bitches on me. You ain't gotta call police on me at all. I'm just telling you some shit I ain't never see before. And I ain't never see a supposed to be gangster celebrate when a nigga go to jail. Not on a day, old ass, broke ass supposed to be gangster celebrate a young nigga go to
jail. Yo, what it is, people, we is back. Another day on Keep It G News. And we gotta finish talking about this NBA Youngboy situation, because I did a number of videos on it, and I still don't think people understand what I really mean about Youngboy and everything that he got going on. So in this video, I'm gonna provide some visuals for y'all of how I see this Youngboy situation and what I actually think might be going on behind closed doors. But before we get to that, I gotta address this no love situation with Youngboy and this finesse 2 times. Like, those clips I played with no love and the things that he had to say about Youngboy about his incarceration really has nothing to do with the video, other than the fact that that is one of the goofiest things I've ever seen in my life. When you got street guys, we seen this from King Yella or O-Block. When you got guys that's supposed to be from the streets, supposed to stand on some type of morals and principles. Ain't even gotta be streets for real. But just a guy that's supposed to be a stand-up individual. That's what they portray to the people. But whenever you laugh and enjoy the fact that another man went to prison, and we ain't talking about no man he had real problems with. We talking about internet back and forth. Whenever you take pride and joy in that, and you's a whole clown. I agree with Ham. But I think that's his name. What's that boy's name? I agree with Youngboy Peoples. You feel me? Ain't no way, yo. Herm, that's his name. Ain't no way he's supposed to be taking any kind of joy in anything that's going on right now, because at the end of the day, that could be you. That can be me. That can be anybody, you know, because everybody don't go to prison on their own volition. Sometimes people get put in situations where they got to react, and sometimes things go left. You know, it's a number of ways that you can find yourself in this type of situation. Now, with NBA Youngboy, his situation is different. In this video, I'm going to explain how it's different. So, in order for me to explain this, y'all, we're going to have to go back. You know, we're going to have to go back to 2017. And we're going to work our way up to what just happened yesterday. Because I think everything that we've been saying with Youngboy matters, you know, from the Rolling Loud shooting on to the federal case that he beat. And we're going to discuss it all. So, when Youngboy was just coming up, you know, he was still really a young boy at this time. I think he might have been like 16 years old. NBA Youngboy found himself in a situation in Baton Rouge.
At this hour, there are a lot of questions remaining around two Baton Rouge shootings. One left a teenager dead. The other ended with the victim wounded at LSU Lakes. Kieran Chawla has been covering this from the beginning. She joins us now in the studio with details. Kieran.
Well, Liz, possibly 3 different scenes, and all 3 may be connected. That's what Baton Rouge police are trying to figure out. They've been interviewing witnesses, but so far they do not have any suspects. Just after midnight, Baton Rouge police went out to Nebraska Street. 18-year-old Keandre Ricks was found dead, lying in the street, shot multiple times in the chest. Neighbors in the area tell us they saw a silver-colored Hyundai with 3 people inside driving around the area late night and into this morning. Then, shortly after 9:30 this morning, police get a call from a man shot once in the neck around the LSU Lakes. When they finally found him, he was in a silver-colored Hyundai. He was transported to the hospital and listed in stable condition as of now.
And even when I heard all the sirens and saw the police cars, the ambulance and all that, I thought someone had taken deathly ill on campus. It just never dawned on me that there was a shooting.
This person wants to remain anonymous. Baton Rouge police have said the shooting did not start here at the lakes. Instead, they're looking to see if 3 different scenes are all connected. The first was at Nebraska, well, just 8 streets over, or 0.4 miles away. Around 9:30 this morning, police say a man was shot in the neck. He or the suspect then drove 1.4 miles to East Lakeshore in May around the LSU Lakes and called police for help.
I want y'all to pay close attention to what y'all just watched, because this is the beginning of NBA Youngboy legal troubles. I mean, at least the ones that we know. And I think in this situation, he may have been charged as an adult, but he was 16 years old. And y'all see what happened. But the reason why this is so important, because this video or this situation is going to come back up 3 years later. Right? It's crazy. So what happened was, what y'all just watched is, that silver car that y'all watched, that was allegedly one of NBA Youngboy's homeboys that got shot in his neck. Now, he got shot in the neck when Youngboy, allegedly, and his crew decided to shoot at another guy in retaliation for another kid's death. Now, nobody got hit except for one of Youngboy peoples. Youngboy and them got away, but somehow he ended up getting caught. And once he got caught, he ended up copping out or pleading guilty. And he caught a 10-year suspended sentence, 3 years probation. You know, at 16 years old, 3 years probation, that's what happened to Youngboy. But around this time, everything was still on the up and up with Youngboy. You know, this is typical to how the system runs. But in this video, what you're going to find out is later on, the system is going to start running a little bit different for Youngboy. And that's the reason for this video. I want y'all to see how things changed for him. And it changed in 2019, rolling live.
We begin though with a deadly shooting in Sunny Isles Beach, right outside the Trump International Beach Resort. That's where we find Sinella Sabovic.
That's right. She has details on the man that was shot and also the woman as well. Sinella.
Well, Alex and Andrew, we have 3 very active scenes, 1 in Aventura and 2 here in Sunny Isles. We've learned that a man was shot and killed inside of a vehicle. That is where we are at right now. This is inside of a strip mall along Collins Avenue. I do want to get you to some video because witnesses tell us that this all began outside of the Trump International Beach Resort along, again, 180th Street and Collins Avenue, that there was some sort of altercation that took place between 2 rappers who were actually set to perform at the Rolling Loud Festival this evening. We've learned the altercation was between the entourages of NBA Youngboy and T Grizzly. Witnesses say they heard someone fire shots, at least 4 or 5 rounds. A woman was struck and raced to Aventura Hospital. Immediately following that shooting, the fight then spilled over again to the strip mall parking lot where we are at. This is directly across the street from the hotel. A man here, again, was shot and killed. A friend of the victims tells me off camera that he was simply an innocent bystander. He was working at the Hertz rental car company here at the strip mall and just parking a car when he was caught in the crossfire. We're learning he was a man in his 40s. Then there is a third scene that is on the William Lehman Causeway. Aventura police say a person was shot and sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Investigators remain processing that scene as we speak, and they are working with the Sunny Isles Police Department to see if all of these shooting scenes are connected. And to people here at this very active strip mall, including a woman who works at a BurgerFi here. She tells us she saw terrified people racing into that establishment, ducking for cover following all of that chaos. Take a listen.
Shots were fired, and I mean, probably like 3 or 4 or 5 rounds of it. It sounded like firecrackers at first, and as you can see, you know, it's hindrance because the guy passed.
Like, all I remember is a lady running in with her dog. She's like, "Oh my gosh, they're shooting!" And it was just like, everybody was so much chaos out of nowhere. And like, all I really was worried about is like everyone getting low, because you know, when there's bullets, you don't know where they're gonna go.
Y'all can remember that was a very wild Rolling Loud. I'm talking about wild. I think another rapper from Chicago lost his life during that Rolling Loud. A lot of shootings. I don't think Rolling Loud been invited to Miami since then. You feel me? Now, they might have had a contract, but I'm sure whenever that contract was up, Rolling Loud was not going to be in Miami. I don't know, it could still be down there, but if I was a resident or if I was a politician in Miami, I would have Rolling Loud booted out of there. Yeah, it brings money, but it brings a lot of violence. But what happened in that situation, y'all, is Youngboy ended up ultimately being arrested. And, you know, some people might say, well, you know, Youngboy got out of that because he was a victim. But let me tell y'all something. Y'all remember that Youngboy was on 3 years probation. He caught in 2017, 2016, to 2019. His probation is still on. Probation is still on. And it's something called technicalities. We have seen them a lot. I know some people who know people that have been incarcerated. Y'all probably know people that violate on technicalities. And one of them technicalities is if you're around violence, you know. You're around parole felons. You understand? You can violate if you're on probation and parole just being in that type of environment. So I think most people understood that at that point, Youngboy was ready to go back to jail. You know, though he was a victim, he was going back to jail because this is how the system runs. Now, is it right? No. But this is how it typically runs when it runs normal. You know, and at this point, things were still going normal for Youngboy, but this is when everything changed. Rolling Loud, 2019, T Grizzly Youngboy situation is when everything changed for Youngboy. And let me explain how it would change. So, when Youngboy got arrested, he had to go back to Baton Rouge because he was on probation. And his judge made it clear that she couldn't see a situation where Youngboy was going to make it out of this without having to do that 10 years. I mean, they was firm on it. Firm. Youngboy also set for 90 days during this time. Now, in the process of Youngboy sitting for this 90 days, 2 things happened. Now, one thing I didn't talk about was the death of G Money, because it didn't really hold no relevance back then other than, you know, when I talked about 2016 and 2017, other than the fact that Youngboy and G Money had problems. And those problems were displayed all over the internet. You seen interviews with G Money speaking on Youngboy. You seen Instagram lives when Youngboy was speaking on G Money, but G Money was murdered. I think it was 2017. G Money lost his life in 2017. But this is 2019 now. You know, we didn't fast forward. Now we at Rolling Loud. Now NBA Youngboy is arrested, but the judge wasn't letting him out. Made it very clear, like I said. But 2 things happened. In the process of Youngboy being arrested, you know, for being a victim during the Rolling Loud incident where the innocent valet driver got killed, NBA, Lil Pad, and Big B also got arrested. And the crimes that they got arrested for was old crimes. That's a little strange. You know, if you ask me, that's strange. Now, I don't know if they was always suspects or what evidence they had. I'm just telling y'all on the outside looking in, I always viewed that as strange. Especially knowing that the judge wasn't letting Youngboy go, but Youngboy ended up coming out. But before he went out, Lil Pad got arrested for having a gun that murdered G Money. And NBA Big B, he got arrested for the crime that he supposed to have been what? You know, the one where Youngboy copped out to the 10 years with 3 years probation. You know, the 10-year suspended sentence. Big B got arrested for that. This is 3 years later and 2 years later for Pad.
Investigating a fatal shooting on Dallas Drive this morning. The victim identified by family as a well-known rapper.
Baton Rouge, the murder capital, man. Everybody needs to straighten up right now.
The victim, 22-year-old Garrett Burton, better known as the Real G Money, was found dead in a parking lot around 1:30 this morning. Now his family is calling for the violence in Baton Rouge to come to an end.
They see what happened right here with G Money, bro. It's so real. If person don't realize it, man, everybody down here in this world need to love each other, bro. Instead of everybody killing each other out here, look at it.
Police say there are no motives or suspects at this time. Anyone with information should give police a call.
So, NBA Youngboy got arrested in May of 2019. Big B got arrested, I think, in July of 2019. And Lil Pab got arrested in June of 2019. Now, Youngboy, and I'm going to get to Youngboy because he came home. But at that time in Rolling Loud, y'all, I don't think that we ever would have thought that this would probably be the last time that people see Youngboy perform live. Because though that happened at Rolling Loud, you know, the shooting, Youngboy got on that stage. This thing on that stage. But I don't think most people would have thought that this would be the last time we would see Youngboy outside today. You know, even though that was his hot song. We didn't think it was going to be the last time, you know, to see him outside and performing because he came outside. Even though at the time y'all heard the judge wasn't trying to release him. Youngboy, some way or another, ended up getting out. Youngboy didn't just get out. No, he didn't just get out. Youngboy got out. And he was also allowed to leave Baton Rouge. And I'm talking about not just leave. The judge crossed out his probation, canceled it. No more probation, no more backup time. I'm talking about, you talking about a gift from God. He just was involved, even though they said he was a victim. He just was involved in a shooting where somebody lost their life. He was on probation in 2016 for a shooting where nobody got hit, but his homeboy got shot in the neck. And you mean to tell me the same judge that was hard on him, said there wasn't no way they was going to release him, end up releasing him and canceling out his probation after 90 days? I thought that was a break.
NBA Youngboy was in court today. He's no longer on probation and says he plans to leave Louisiana. A judge today ended his probation during the hearing. Lawyers for the rapper, whose real name is Kentrell Gaulden, had argued that he followed all of the court's conditions. Gaulden was arrested back in May after a deadly shootout in Florida. His defense had argued that he was actually the target of the shooting, but he was already on probation in connection to a 2016 shooting.
I'm all for the system giving breaks, but at what cost? And I think that's what we coming to figure out with Youngboy. At what cost was he giving these breaks? Because this wasn't the only break. We're going to talk about a big federal one later on in the video. But Youngboy got a break. Was able to leave Baton Rouge. Now, when he left Baton Rouge, he wound up going to Texas, you know. Not too far from Baton Rouge. Texas and Louisiana share some of the similar cultures, so it's only right. That's a match made in heaven. Well, when he went to Texas, he ran into mob ties. You know, mob ties run a certain part of Texas. That's what they say. You know, I mean, I did videos on it. You know, Jay Prince is very involved in the political aspect of Houston, Texas. I'm talking about he can make things shake. So, when Youngboy goes there, he ended up getting his house hit. You know, that was real strange. Y'all seen the back and forth they had with Jay Prince. I'm not going to get into that. I actually like how Youngboy carried it because he knew something wasn't right. He knew something wasn't right. His house get hit, and all of a sudden, Jay Prince got the key. What's really going on? Did you pay these boys to hit my house? Is this an extortion move? I mean, let me know. And Youngboy carried it how he was supposed to carry it. I'm not giving you nothing. You can keep the key. You know, y'all seen the videos. We ain't going to talk about it on this video because what happened in Houston don't got nothing to do with what's going on with Youngboy currently, right now. So, Youngboy finally got his freedom. And at this time, things seem like, you know, even though it's getting strange, things seem like, you know, it's happening organically. But we all know Youngboy has an influence. I'm talking about I can't say I never seen, but I haven't seen a young person with this much influence since I was young. Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan. I'm talking about y'all. If y'all remember when Youngboy first hit the scene, you had kids in all across the United States. I'm not even talking about just black kids. I'm talking about white kids. I'm talking about rural. I'm talking about urban. All wanted to be like Youngboy. They wanted to look like him. They wanted to talk like him. You know, you understand what I'm saying? And in this channel, we talked about influence a lot and the effect that influence can have on a community. And police gravitate to influence. We seen that. I covered a number of cases where a lot of people, D. Rose come to mind, a lot of people went to prison off of influence, maybe unjustly. So I think at this point, most people in the world see Youngboy has a very powerful arm. He can make things move, whichever direction he wanted to go. And I think other people noticed that as well. Now, Youngboy was still, at this time, I think maybe like 19, 20 years old. He's still relatively young, so he's still wild. And he just caught a major break. Shit, he outside, he with his homeboys, so he goes to Baton Rouge. Guess what happened at Baton Rouge, y'all? Youngboy gets arrested for shooting a video. I'm talking about with guns everywhere. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he wasn't.
The drama surrounding Baton Rouge native rapper NBA Youngboy continues. The rapper was arrested around 4:30 Tuesday morning on multiple drug charges. The rapper was one of 16 arrested at the scene.
3 of them, I believe, were convicted felons. So they, if they didn't have weapons in their possession, they were around weapons.
According to BRPD, they all attempted to run upon their arrival.
There are individuals out there that started tossing their guns. Some started running. They were attempting to hide. There were a group of them that were attempting to hide.
The alleged suspicious behavior led police to search cars at the scene. They confiscated 14 guns, $79,000 in cash and drugs.
People generally don't walk around with a combination of 80 grand in their pocket. One having right at $50,000 in his pocket.
The incident is being investigated by BRPD as well as the FBI, which could lead to federal charges. Golden was released on $75,000 bond Tuesday afternoon.
Youngboy is booked again, y'all. I'm talking about, we done seen him at this point. Youngboy had been locked up about 5-6 times. We ain't even covered the small cases. He gets booked on a slew of gun charges. And don't forget, he got them charges back when he was 16. I think they charged him as an adult, but he ain't supposed to be around no firearms. No, not in the least bit. So you would expect that at this point, he's not getting out. You're going to throw the book at him. You're going to rat. You're going to sit in jail. You're going to wait till your court date. And that was how the judge felt at first. But the judge had to change her heart because Youngboy was pleading to the court. And this is where a lot of people, when they dissect this Youngboy situation, they get it wrong. A lot of people say, well, Youngboy asked to go to Utah. But he did, in a way. But that wasn't his first option. Utah, I don't think, would ever be anybody's first option. Yeah, he wanted to stay out of trouble, but I'm sure he got a lot of places. He owned a few homes. He owned a home in Texas. I'm sure he got a few places he can stay to, you know, at least get out of Baton Rouge. But a part of his deal when the judge finally came around and saying he can come home is he got to go to Utah. And his lawyer put together a package to have Youngboy watched by military personnel that, you know, monitor his home monitor and, you know, all these strict restrictions to get him out. But that wasn't his first choice. So, yeah, Youngboy did ask to go to Utah. But he only asked to go to Utah after he got denied everything else. So it's like, is that really a choice? Is that really a choice when you have no other options? And I think that's what happened with Youngboy. So Youngboy got sent all the way to Utah. I'm talking about, y'all, I don't think it's 25 black people in Utah. So I thought that was strange. Even though at the time I looked at it like, okay, keep him out of trouble, keep him in Utah, he should be all right. But I don't think in 2021 that we ever would have thought that he would still be on home monitor in Utah. You understand? I don't think I ever seen somebody on a box for 4 or 5 years, 3-4 years. That's a very long time to be on home monitor. And you know, some people going to say, well, at least he's not in jail. But it's some people that'll argue with you that they might rather be in jail. You know, at least they know what they dealing with. You know, at least you ain't got to worry about the outside factors and still be in the house. You understand? Now, we can argue about what's right and what's wrong. I'm just telling you, it's some people in this world that would rather be locked up for 4 years than locked up in their house for 4 years. Some might say it's worse. And I told y'all how I've been on the box for 2 months and I hated it. But this is a guy coming from just being locked up for almost 3 years. So it didn't really make a difference to me if I did 2 months or not. So my situation is different from his. But since he been on the box, y'all seen a lot of outbursts coming from Youngboy. You know, a lot of social media posts, a lot of things like that. But at this time, he wasn't as restricted, you know, because he could still move around a little bit. He was still able to move around, you know, still pursue his music career. Then he ended up in California. And at first, the Baton Rouge case was state. But once the feds got involved, everything changed.
Rapper NBA Youngboy was arrested and taken into custody. The 21-year-old, whose real name is Kentrell Gaulden, was wanted on an outstanding warrant. Officers tried to pull him over around 11 a.m. Monday. They say he refused to stop and eventually took off on foot. He was arrested around 1 in the afternoon. Back in September, Gaulden was arrested on drug and firearm charges in Louisiana.
So at first, yeah, the case in Baton Rouge was state. And I think Youngboy thought it was state, but the case in Baton Rouge turned federal. And when it turned federal, they sent the federal authorities after NBA Youngboy, caught him in California. Now, Youngboy was in California riding. I think he had an FN pistol. Now he got a federal case in Baton Rouge, weapons case, and he got a federal case in California. Now y'all can see these cases are mounting up. Now we're not dealing with the state no more. This is the big leagues. We're dealing with the feds. So I think most people thought that Youngboy is not getting out of this situation. There is no way he's going to beat the feds. But what Youngboy did was the unthinkable. But if you look at his history, is it really unthinkable? You talking about a guy that had his probation wiped out after a shooting happened where somebody got murdered. You talking about a guy that just keep getting out, keep getting chance after chance. That look like it's organic, but at this point, y'all, I'm having second thoughts. You know, what's really up with Youngboy? Why is he in Utah? You feel me? We have seen a number of rappers get arrested, get put on home monitor in their own city. But why, when it comes to Youngboy, he gets sent to Utah? I can understand them putting him out of Baton Rouge. You too strong there, you know. But there's other surrounding cities. He could have went to Alabama. He could have went to Mississippi. Why send him to Utah? Had me wondering. But Youngboy ended up going to court for the federal case he caught in California first. You know, where they violated him. Well, the state case in Baton Rouge turned fed and they locked him up in California. He goes to court in California for the gun that he caught. You know, the gun that they caught on him. Took him on a run first.
Damn, fucking FBI's here, fucking all kinds of shit.
But Youngboy actually went to court and beat the federal case. watched that federal case, y'all, that was one of the strangest federal cases that I've ever seen or I've ever even heard about, because the main evidence got tossed before. They never tested the gun for fingerprints, y'all. So there was no way that they can possibly say that was his gun, because they found the gun in that car. Y'all gotta follow along with me here, y'all. I know this is a long video, but follow with me because I'm getting to a conclusion of what I think is actually going on with Youngboy. So Youngboy ends up beating that case, but before he beats the case, some more arrests came down. This time on Youngboy's house that he had in Texas.
The rapper's Houston area home raided. Investigators seizing weapons and evidence. NBA Youngboy's Northwest Harris County home. 3 of his associates have been arrested as a result of that raid. Among them, crimes they are charged in the shooting of a man back in November.
And during this time that he had this federal case he beat in Cali, the Baton Rouge case was supposed to come like 2 weeks later, but it never came. It never came. You know, first they said that they couldn't use the videotape evidence that they had on Youngboy in Baton Rouge. You know, the evidence where his, and I did a video on it. Y'all can check it out. But his videographer had video of Youngboy holding the strap. First, they could use it. Then it got tossed out. And then I think the U.S. government appealed it. Now it's back into appeal. So this is what they're saying is holding Youngboy up all this time. But through all this time, we talking about in a 3-year span, 4-year span almost, Youngboy is on home monitor screaming out for help, you know. And some people might not think it's valid, but I told y'all in the first videos I did about Youngboy where I explained to y'all that this situation with him was created. And the reason why I say it was created is because you can't give a 20-year-old that's 24 now a prescription for drugs and then keep him in the house for 4 years. You know, that's a recipe for disaster. So for the last year or so, I've been like, yo, what's up with Youngboy? Why are they treating him like this? Something ain't right. What is he on witness protection? What's really going on? What's really going on? And then we get some type of clarity. But that clarity don't come by way of explanation of what's going on with Youngboy. It come by way of more indictments. They say that Youngboy is running a elaborate, very elaborate prescription.
9-page probable cause affidavit here. We're going to go through it kind of piece by piece because we have the time to do so. So it starts by saying that Galden, who's better known in the public light as NBA Youngboy, has been a suspect in a large-scale prescription fraud ring. The drug, you may ask, is promethazine with codeine. It's a cough syrup of sorts. It's a controlled substance that is heavily abused, as they outlined here. They say that he was in concert with other individuals, further identified in a criminal enterprise. Let's go through an example of when this started to take place. If you look through the synopsis here, September 19th, 2023, at a pharmacy in Hiram. That's when they really got going here with a prescription called in for Bethel White with a claimed date of birth of 11/10/1949. That prescription was called in by an individual claiming to be a physician from the... Let's go through an example of when this started to take place. If you look through the synopsis here, September 19th, 2023, at a pharmacy in Hiram. That's when they really got going here with a prescription called in for Bethel White with a claimed date of birth of 11/10/1949. That prescription was called in by an individual claiming to be a physician from the Provo area, providing an actual valid DEA number. That is a number they would need to have along with that prescription that's called in, and other identifying factors to be a real physician. In this instance, the pharmacy actually called the actual physician, and the physician itself informed employees that they didn't have a patient by the name of Bethel White, nor did he call in a prescription to the pharmacy in Hiram. And the physician told pharmacy employees this has had, quote, happened several times today, and they didn't write any prescriptions for Bethel White. Now, why are we saying this name? In all of these, they use a series of similar names for patients, White being the last name, and Cox being the last name. Gwendolyn Cox is a name that they've used at other pharmacies, like Spence's Pharmacy in Logan, for example, on the same day. Another example of that. Things really got going in January in the Smithfield area at Larry's Pharmacy when that same name, Gwendolyn Cox, it was called in for this promethazine with codeine prescription. And the similar situation takes place, right? They call the medical provider, and they actually called law enforcement in this instance. The pharmacy did, and provided information after they took similar steps. And they described that Gwendolyn sounded as though they were a much younger person, disguising their voice to sound much older. That is also what happened when Gwendolyn Cox called police back, claiming to be that person, disguising their voice. All part of this large prescription drug fraud ring. So there's a couple more instances of this taking place. Police actually outline in here that it's very clear that a fake voice was being used in the conversation that they had with this individual. And another instance at Larry's Pharmacy in Smithfield, another instance involving NBA Youngboy. If you've ever seen any of his music videos, he's got cars in it, firearms, drugs, all sorts of things. One of the vehicles in those videos is his vehicle, registered, a Chevy Tahoe that was used by other people to go to one of these pharmacies on at least one instance and pick up the prescription. So when police came to one of these locations, they not only stopped the two people, arrested them, seized the vehicle, it was in impound, but even in the report, it's connected to say that vehicle is the same vehicle with a couple markings on it that you can see in those music videos. In one of those instances, when they pulled over the people driving that vehicle, there was marijuana in the vehicle as well, and an empty handgun case for a .45, so a firearm. And as we go through these charges here, they outline a couple different things about the instances of the pharmacies. And these were not just Cache County pharmacies. Listed here, Midland Pharmacy in Roy, Utah, a Costco pharmacy in Riverton. There was a Tremont in here. There's North Logan, Cottonwood Heights, Lehigh, Midvale, Farmington. You name it, there are places here that were called for these prescriptions to be called in as part of this large-scale ring. As we go through this here, you can look deeper into the actual affidavit and find a couple of interesting pieces. I want to read this portion for you because it's important to note that Kentrell Gaulden is residing in Weber County. They write it up here as a large multi-million-dollar home described as a mansion. He is there on a house arrest sort of scenario with an ankle monitor by federal probation, and this is for a federal trial that's outstanding here. So these are part of federal pretrial services as part of the house arrest. So what is interesting about that, when we mentioned the people that went to go pick up these prescriptions, those same people were also listed on Galdrin's log of known visitors kept by his probation officer. So those people that went to go pick them up also were frequent visitors at his property in Weber County. I am paraphrasing this very, very long probable cause affidavit that, quite frankly, I haven't seen anything as detailed as such. A lot of this information you would find in something like a search warrant. So let's get to that. Yesterday, Tuesday, he was arrested at his residence in Weber County, taken to the Cache County Jail. While there were other people at the home. They had a search warrant that was signed days prior. They went in and searched the property. I'm going to read this verbatim to you. During the search of the residence, law enforcement found a prescription bottle in Kentrell Gaulden's bathroom inside of the master bedroom, identifying as his. The prescription bottle was for Carolyn White. Notice the last name. We told you about Bethel White being the person they called in that first prescription to, which is one of the known fraudulent names, with a corresponding prescribing doctor who had confirmed the fraud. Also noted, they found a handgun there that Gaulden had admitted to possessing in the master bedroom just days prior. He was already obviously on a house arrest for a federal trial, so that's a big no-no in this situation. As we go through some of these charges, before we do that, we caught up with the Cache County Sheriff's Office earlier today. And what's interesting about this, there's so much interest in a case such as this because of the publicity, because NBA Youngboy gets millions and millions of views on his videos on YouTube, also plays on Spotify. So how are they going to handle something like this?
We're big fans of being impartial fact finders. We recognize that he comes with a certain amount of publicity. We're going to continue to do the best to make sure that we are engaging in impartial fact finding and do a good job of deciphering all the information that we have available to us.
So let's go back to this document here one more time. Per the search warrant, all electronics were to be searched. A triage was being conducted as not to interfere with Kentrell's music business. However, he refused to give any passcodes for the devices. Quote, he answered, take it and break it, when I asked him for passcodes for the devices. Kentrell Gaulden, NBA Youngboy, was placed under arrest for identity fraud, forgery, prescription fraud, each count of each incident in the procurement and attempted procurement of the fraudulent prescriptions. So remember we said there were 63 counts? Here's how they break them down. This accounts for 18 confirmed successfully filled prescriptions and at least 2 confirmed attempts. At one point, January 24th, there was a conference call between Gaulden and an officer who was investigating this. Apparently, according to this, that's listed numerous times, NBA Youngboy made an utterance at some point during that conversation which provided both knowledge and intent regarding his involvement in the prescription fraud incident. So there's a lot to unpack here, basically admitting at that one point to asking about one of the prescriptions after they told him about the arrest of some of the other people that were involved in this. So at the end of the day, 63 charges for this high-profile individual here in the state of Utah, including 2 felonies related to possession of a dangerous weapon by a restricted person, pattern of unlawful activity, those are second-degree felonies, the 20 counts of identity fraud, which is a third-degree felony here in Utah, misdemeanor accounts of attempting to basically procure drugs or prescriptions. Again, those are 20 counts for that misdemeanor, 20 counts of forgery, that is also a third-degree felony here in the state of Utah, and they tacked on possession of a controlled substance of marijuana, which is a misdemeanor here in the Beehive State.
That's all the details that we have about this drug ring, right? And did y'all hear the things that they saying Youngboy now was doing? How was they getting these VIN numbers? How are they getting these doctor numbers where they can call in the prescription and the doctor? Like, how is they getting that? This is not typical. You know, normally when a person busts scripts, they just got the script. You know, you might go to the doctor, then you got the scripts and you write them, and some doctors might not check it and they'll fill it, but this is more elaborate than that. So how was they really getting this done? And then you got to factor in that Youngboy was on federal home detention. Y'all heard some of the stipulations. He got military people guarding him. So you mean to tell me that it took y'all months to know that Youngboy was doing this, allegedly? And we not talking about a guy, y'all. And this is what pissed me off with a lot of people on the internet. We not talking about a guy that was doing this to sell pills or sell promethazine. We talking about a user. We talking about a user. Now, the guns is another thing. You know, that's not something he's going to be able to get around. But why should his house been hit when he was obviously just a user? They asked him to put the drugs down. He told them no. But the thing is, and what pisses me off is, I have a hard time figuring out or believing that they just found this information out, considering how strict he was under, the watch that he was on. They knew everybody that was coming in and out. You understand? So what I think is, and what makes most sense to me is that it's a lot going on in Baton Rouge right now. And whatever happened at Rolling Loud, Youngboy wasn't coming home. They made it very, very clear. Most times when Youngboy went to jail, they made it very, very clear that he wasn't coming home. But he always managed to come home. So what it looks like to me, and people might disagree, that Youngboy didn't align himself with these people on one way or another. I don't know if it's information. I don't know what it is. But he aligned himself with these people. But it didn't go how he wanted it to go. I don't think Youngboy ever expected to be on home monitor for 4 years or 3.5 years or however long it was. You know, because he was quiet at first. It wasn't a whole bunch of bickering in year 1 and 2. Once you get to year 3 going into year 4, now it's like, yo, hold up, what's going on? This ain't right. But this is what happens when you align yourself with people that's not aligned with you. You know, this is a game where they are the only ones that win. And I don't know what deal he made with him, if he made a deal at all. You know, this is all alleged. But how it looks to me is he made a deal with these people, man. And part of this deal was he was supposed to fulfill whatever obligations he had to fulfill. And I have a hard time believing that the federal government just found out about these pills. We talking about, y'all, 21 scripts was bust. 21, 19 wasn't, or something like that. Y'all heard the numbers. All of this went under y'all radar while he's on home monitor. I'm sure the phone's tapped. I'm almost positive the phones is tapped. So they just found out this information. Or is it a situation where they needed some information and Youngboy wasn't trying to give it to him? So it was like, okay, this how you want to play? So we coming down on you. And now you got a situation like this where you got a man that's an obvious addict. You know, jail is might what he need. You know, I actually think Youngboy been trying to go to jail for a while now. That's maybe why he carrying it how he carrying it. He trying to get it over with. This has been drug out for way too long now. The only positive I could say about him being on home monitor all this time is once he was to finally go to court, you know, he can get time served, and I thought that may have been an angle. But at the end of the day, it's like, yo, is that even worth it? You feel me? Is that worth sitting in the house for 4 years wondering what's going to happen? What's the next move? What are these people going to do with me? You heard him do the interview with Bootleg Kev where he said, yo, I'm completely sold on going to prison. I'm completely sold on it. And I think ultimately this is where he wanted to be. But this is what happens when you make deals with these people, yo, because these people is never going to put you in a situation where you're going to win. It's always them. It's never you. And whatever happened at Rolling Loud, Youngboy was not going to come out of that situation. And y'all seen what happened. Now, I don't think nobody on Youngboy crew would ever come out and say, yo, yeah, that's what happened. You know, he told because he's the bag. You know, he's the bag. You know, and this is the world we living in now where somebody have money and they can tell and they can work with the police, and as long as they got the bag, people still gonna rock with them. This is not something that's just particular to them guys. This is normal now. This is very normal. And I can't stamp that he's told because I don't see no paperwork, but I'm just saying something ain't right. I don't know what it is. But it looked like to me that he made some type of deal or these people had some type of understanding and it went left. Because I refuse to believe that this is the first time they found out that he was doing whatever he was doing, alleged, with these prescriptions. I can't believe it. I can't believe that they just found this out. Not the federal government, not who Youngboy is, not the strict watch that they had him under. I have it very hard. I find it very hard to believe. But let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments, man. I know this was a long video, but I think it was interesting because something ain't right. I think we need to pay more attention to what's going on with Youngboy, even in prison, even in jail. You know, because we don't know what's going on. But I can promise you this. Somebody, anybody, been on home monitor for 3-4 years, something ain't right. Especially when you send a man that was from Baton Rouge all the way to Utah. All the way to Utah. Why Utah? And this is not a situation where he decided he wanted to go to Utah. This was a situation that the judge wasn't going to approve anything else. Utah was the only option. The only option. But let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments, man. It's another day of Keep It G News.
Nigga can't do what I do, y'all niggas can't copy me. Let's keep shit G. Let's keep shit G. Let's keep the shit G. Let's keep shit G. Let's keep shit G.